Hello students. So today we are going to start with our revision video of standard 6th subject science lesson number 10, that is force and types of force. So students, we have already finished this lesson before in our previous sessions. So today in this video, we are going to revise it thoroughly with all the clarifications and all the doubts which we have, and will again revise and be clear about this particular lesson. So let us begin with the explanation and revision part of our lesson. So, beginning with the main topic, that is force. Students, what actually force is? When we do certain actions, like if we kick the football which is coming in our direction towards the goal, we apply some side of force. In day-to-day life, we do many such actions, such as lifting something, pulling something, riding a bicycle and stopping it at times, pushing a load, squeezing or bending something, and driving vehicles. It is very necessary to apply force. For doing all these actions, force is applied to an object to pull it or push it in any manner. Understood? Now, students, no object changes its position on its own. So, students, basically, force is required to move an object. Understood? Force is also used to change any direction of an object which is in motion, or you can say, if I want to stop any object which is moving or which is already in motion, then also force is needed. Understood? Students, force is not only used for all these things, but force is also used to change the shape of any object. For example, as we had done in our previous session, that if you have to bend a rod, then what the blacksmith does, he uses his hammer and put some of his force on through the hammer on the rod, and what will happen, that rod will eventually bend. So basically, from this example we come to know that force is necessary to change the shape of an object. Students, there are also various types of forces. Same way we had studied about this in the previous session, but again, as I told you, it is a revision video. We'll revise them. The very first one is muscular force. As per its name, muscular, you come to know it relates to muscles. Now, in all the actions which you can see in the picture on your screen, that is the person who is lifting the weight. So basically, the movement which is taking place with the help of the bones and muscles in the body, that is none other but your muscular force. For example, if you have to lift a bag which is on the ground, what you will do? You will bend down, you will lift that heavy bag, but to lift that heavy bag, what do you need? Again, you need a force, and that is your muscular force. So the force which is applied with the help of muscles is none other but your muscular force. Now, second force is mechanical force. So again, from its name you can understand that it is related to machines or mechanical items. Now how? So students, we use different machines for doing many tasks, correct? Muscular force is used for running some machines. Some machines run by themselves by using electricity or fuel, but some machines also need muscular force. So machines like the latter
are called automatic machines. Why? Because a mechanical force is used here. For example, we can take is sewing machine, electric pump, washing machine, mixer, etc. Now make a list of other such machines. Correct? We can make such list. So you can also do that. Okay, this will be your homework. Now, the force which is applied by means of a machine is called mechanical force. Now, the third type of force is, children, gravitational force. So, I know that you must be now knowing, as we had already explained this force, but still, again, for your example and for your proper doubt clearance, I will say that if an object is thrown upwards by applying a force, it reaches a certain height, and that again comes down. Now, why this happens? What is the thing, or what is the force which is pulling it back? So this force or this thing is none other but your gravitational force. You must have seen that trees also have fruits on hanging on it. So why don't that fruit fall upwards but it falls downwards? Why? Because the earth pulls all the objects towards itself. The force applied by the earth to pull objects toward itself is called gravitational force. Students, now I'll take you in the past. So in this image, the person whom you can see is none other but Sir Isaac Newton. Now, Sir Isaac Newton has discovered gravitation. Before 17th century, nobody knew what gravitational force is. But Sir Isaac Newton discovered it in 17th century. The Earth's gravitational force acts on a direction opposite to that of an object which is moving upward. Hence, the speed of that particular object goes on decreasing till in the end it becomes zero. Then the object starts falling down instead of going up any further. Now, while falling, its speed goes on increasing all the time. Due to what? Due to this gravitational force. Now, gravitational force, you have now known that who actually had discovered it. It is Sir Isaac Newton, and that is, it is in 17th century. Understood, children? Now students, what you can see on your screen is basically a spring balance. Now, to weight an object or any object, it is hung from the hook of the spring balance. You can see the hook which is downside, that is the hook of a spring balance, and any object which is needed to be weighed, that is hung upon this hook. Now, the suspended object which is hanging is pulled downwards by the force of gravity. At the same time, by the force of gravity, what happens is the tension in the spring constantly happens and it pulls the object upwards. Now the object comes to rest when the tension in the spring and the gravitational force on the object become equal. Now in this position, the scale on the spring balance shows the gravitational force acting on the object, which is the weight of the object. The gravitational force acting on an object is called the weight of that particular object. Now the fourth force, that is the magnetic force. So as per its name, again you know what it means. Now that is related to the magnet. Now if you place a magnet on a table and take a big iron ball or big iron nail towards that magnet, what will happen? It will stick to that particular magnet. Now hold the magnet upright in the air away from the nail. What will happen? Obviously it will not stick. So the force which is exerted by a magnet is called magnetic force. So on your screen you can see that there is magnet, and their forces are also shown on that particular magnets. Understood? The next force is frictional force. This is the fifth type of the force. So basically, the smooth surface can be easily rubbed against each other. Why? Because the force of friction between them is less, while rough surface cannot be easily rubbed against each other. Now why that? Because the force of friction between them is greater. So basically it is possible for us to walk on the ground only because of the force of friction. If there is no friction, we would slip and fall. For example, we are very likely to slip while walking on an oily or wet floor. Why? Because the friction is less. But if you are walking or running on a platform or a proper road, then it is very easy. Why? Because friction is greater. A force of friction is basically generated between the wheel and the wooden plank which is laid down under the car. So hence it can be pulled out from the mud. In short, the force of friction can either be decreased or increased as desired. Understood, students? How this happens and how this is functioned? Basically, when two surfaces rub against each other, the force of friction comes into play. It always acts against the direction of the motion. Understood? So now moving to our sixth kind of force, that is electrostatic force. So children, to explain this, again I like you to do an experiment. You have to spread small pieces of paper on a table. Now rub a piece of thermocol or an inflated balloon against silk cloth and bring it near these pieces. Now rub a plastic comb against dry hair and repeat the same activity. Now rub a peacock feather between two pages of a notebook and bring it near your fingers. What will happen? In the above activities, the piece of paper, hair and the peacock feather are seen to move. Now why does this happen, students? Because of electrostatic force. So static electricity is produced on materials like rubber, plastic and ebonite due to friction. The force exerted by such electrically charged material is called electrostatic force. Moving, next we have combined force. Now while an action is taking place, various types of forces act on the object in question. Now you might have seen that there is a roller coaster or a juggling of a sailboat on the seashore. So what all these examples indicate? That a variety of forces act together in these cases. To obtain more information about these, type the words trick science in your Google search on the internet. You can do this as your homework too. So what you will know more about these forces. So basically the combination of all the forces acting on an object is your combined force. Okay, it is also known as net force. Understood, students? So I hope you have understood this lesson well. So we'll meet in our next session with next topic. Till then, thank you.